So this is my illustrative material for Leviticus. I'm going to use my denominational book of worship and one of these two.
Okay. Yeah.
This is one of the books used for the Mass.
Thank you, Ron.
This is the Roman Catholic ritual book for initiation, just initiation rites. I'm Dr. Todd Johnson, the Brem Chair for Worship Theology and the Arts at Fuller Theological Seminary. My expertise is in worship and Christian rituals, and I'd like to introduce you to the book of Leviticus, which is, in fact, a book of rituals. Leviticus is one of the 5 books of the Pentateuch. It is not history, and there's very little narrative in it at all. It is what we might call an ecclesial book. It is written for the Levites or the priests. Maybe a way to illustrate this is, I'm an ordained pastor in the Evangelical Covenant Church. This is our worship book. It contains all the rituals for our denomination. This is the Roman Catholic book of rites of initiation alone, baptism and confirmation. This is one of the books used in the saying of the Mass in a Roman Catholic Church. So depending on your tradition, you may be a big book, a little book, or no book tradition. So Leviticus may be very cold, lukewarm, or hot to you when you read it. It may have a lot of resonance with your tradition or not. Leviticus is a detailed description of 3 themes: how Israel approaches God as a community and as individuals, how priests function in the community and remain holy, and how the people function in the community and they remain holy. You've heard me say the word holy a lot, and that's a major theme in Leviticus. But we might need to unpack that word. We often think of holiness as a state of perfection. A better way to understand holiness in this context is to be set apart. That is, to separate yourself from things that are unclean, unhealthy, immoral, and unjust, in the same way that the God you worship and follow is distinct from all things unclean, unhealthy, immoral, and unjust. This is a book of how to honor God's set-apartness by practices that embody your own set-apartness. You have a covenant with a God who is awesome but loving. You have a covenant with a God who is consistent, compassionate, and just. For example, in the Pentateuch, there's an admonition to God's people 3 times not to boil a baby goat in its mother's milk. Why would that be so important to repeat 3 times? Because God thought that would be cruel, unkind, lacking compassion. It's that attention to detail, that attention to being compassionate and just, that was to set the people of Israel apart from all other people. It's the little things, not just the big things, that made them holy. So the book of Leviticus is a book, if you would, about those little things that set people apart as God's people. How do we fare in our life and its practices in that sort of seriousness about our relationship with God? We are not called to these historical practices, I would argue, but we are called to that historical faith, the seriousness with which we take our relationship with a living God.